Train Brain. I've got some new updates for you. Been adding a bunch of stuff to the Cota track, which is awesome and amazing. But really what I've been doing is weathering a lot of stuff I have. So I got these cars pretty stinking cheap. I mean, relatively cheap. Trains.com for like, I don't know what they were. They were like 10, 15 bucks, something like that. But they're 50-foot cars, and I think these ones are Bachmann. Yeah, these are Bachmann. And you're like, well, what are you gonna do with like Bachmann cars? They're not Cota, and they're not Atlas or anything else. So what are you gonna do? I'm gonna weather the crap out of them, because why not? They look cool when they're weathered. And I figured out that don't use the weathering stuff that everybody else tells you to use, as far as like enamels and then weathering stuff like that, if you're planning on changing your mind, which I tend to do. So what I did is I use acrylic stuff. I did it on my BNSF, my locomotive, and a bunch of the Cota cars that came with it. And as you can't tell, I've been building a little bit more and more of New Hampshire, New Haven stuff. I'm actually from Connecticut originally, so I remember seeing these logos a million years ago on cars and stuff. Just driving down the road and going past old train stuff in yards in Connecticut. Anyway, what I use exactly to make all these really cool weathering effects, let me zoom it in a little bit here for you. It actually came out really good, considering the browns and grays, and you start on the bottom and then you just swipe up. That's it. Same thing on the top. Start on the top and swipe down. Go across the top, all these walkways and everything. Gets all the little paint in there. And what I'm doing is I'm using acrylic paint instead of enamel. This stuff, this Apple Barrel brand, is fantastic. So, Timeless Gray, Dark Granite, Nutmeg Brown. What I found out is instead of getting things for like rust, use terracotta. Terracotta makes for really good rust. Why? Just it's so close and really easy to do. I cleaned out an old cat food tin and just splashed a couple of chunks of paint in there. Some of the terracotta, some of the nutmeg, gray, snowflake white, stuff like that. Again, don't buy white. White's expensive for some reason. Expensive meaning more than 99 cents. All these other ones are like 99 cents. Just get these slightly off-brand colors. So snowflake instead of white. Black's nice and cheap though, so you can get black. But these Apple Barrel matte or satin, make sure you get matte or satin, because if it's gloss, hey, it's really gonna look like a toy then. And then, toothpicks. There's all kinds of things you can make out of toothpick. I helped put a patio on a bar I'm building to mimic Old Town Tavern in Goleta that used to be there. Anyway, so go with these colors from Apple Barrel. They're like 99 cents. They're dirt cheap. Go get yourself a couple of brushes. Really cheap brushes is all you really need. Beat the crap out of them, and then rinse them off. Get yourself some thinner. Just thin it out. That's all you got to do. Put it inside a little cat food tin like I did. Squirt an amount in there, Then take some thinner and mush it all around in there. And then all of a sudden it's a lot slick and much thinner. And what you can do then is you can run this stuff on top of your trains and have it just drip on down, which is kind of what you want. You want to make it look like these things weathered naturally. So terracotta, like I said, works really good for rust. Really gets that rusty grime in there. And not just for train cars and locomotives. If you got something that's red like these plug cars, these 50-foot things, I use a lot of gray and a lot of black in there. Again, start at the bottom and then just swipe up. Make it look like they've been running, and then they just got dirty by running, and the dirt comes off the ground. I think they came out pretty good, considering these paints are, like I said, like 99 cents. The enamel ones from like Testers are like $8 each. Forget that. Acrylic paint, and the nicest thing about it is that they're water soluble, so they're not really permanent. So if I wanted to turn around and sell my BNSF loco, my GE over here, what I could do is I could take some water, rinse it around in there. Well, maybe not in there, but use some water on a brush and just wipe the whole thing down, really wash it. And all this stuff comes off. So I had weathered one of the cabooses, and well, I started to weather this one. Let me get this thing in focus. But really, you can just take this stuff off nice and easily, and it goes right back to the way it was. I could start washing this guy off, to give you an example, but I think you get the idea. Water soluble, take it off. The biggest one I did by a country mile, when we zoom out, is my Cota engine house. And this guy I spent time on. Again, all using the exact same paints I just showed off. And I just took it apart piece by piece and went through it all. Yes, there's dull coat, which I probably should have done at the outset, but in the meantime, yep, there's the terracotta that I used for, give myself some rusty runoff from these stacks at the top over here. It came out just so great, I love it now. Before, it really did look like a toy. Now it's really more of a model. This weathering technique of I'll just give you an example of what it is. Starting the one with white stuff and then just slick it down. Push a little white up there and then slick it down, like bird poop or whatever. Same thing with the terracotta rust. Just tap it around there and then smear it down. And again, when it's all thinned out because of that thinner, it moves like water and it just kind of drops down. Makes it look much more natural. And again, if I really wanted to return this thing to factory conditions, like it came from Cota, I can. I would just get a water wipe like I use for my baby, and I can wash the whole thing down, take all of this paint off if I wanted to, because again, it's all acrylic water-based paint. But in the meantime, man, does this look good. We'll get back to that later. Anyway, so now this guy looks fantastic on the layout, and boy, is it coming together. I haven't posted in a while, but look, a couple extra turnouts made their way, courtesy of Plaza Japan. So now I've got quite the yard going. So I'll take you on another tour. I've got a bunch of other projects. In the meantime, this desert open area around here right now is just filled with just paints and glue and all kinds of stuff. It's really coming together, including my little downtown area. Oh, another thing is, I got another Cota station going on here. And this thing actually lights up when I light the track. I'll show you that one in another video. And again, we'll come back to Grumpy over here some other time. In the meantime, I've got a little market going on. I've got a little Chinese restaurant. I got my outdoor bar patio area coming together. And I've already got a customer. Look at that. I can't really draw Toyota that well when it's that small. That's with a very fine tip Sharpie. I'd have to redo that one. But anyway, that's just a quick update. And again, I think use these paints. And if you really like what you did, if you really like where we went over here with my engine house, well, then go over that with dull coat. Then seal in all this awesomeness. But in the meantime, if you're not quite sure how you want to weather things, or you know what, you might want to try a couple of different ways to do it, that's fine. Use the acrylic stuff. It's dirt cheap. You can get from Amazon. I'll include the links for all the colors that I used. And then if you really want to do it over again, just wash the car off with some water. It'll take all the paint off, and then you can start over again. I'll give you an example. I got a Bachmann Spectrum -8 that never runs right. It just doesn't. And it's from like 2003. And I don't know. I could send it back and have them try to repair it for like $60, but forget that noise. I just weathered the junk out of this thing. And look at it. It looks cool. I just go after it with a bunch of dark brown and a bunch of black and gray and just schmutz it all over the place. And it just looks cool in the yard to have. Just next to the train. Why not? Yeah, maybe it's a busted engine, but now it just became scenery. So, hey, you can always get good use out of this stuff. Anywho, I'll take you on a better tour of what's going on with the layout later, including my new apartment complex that's coming on here, some townhouses, market, Chinese restaurant, and the bar. And then, we'll get to Grumpy later. And then what I really want to show you guys is what I did with my new station over here. I had, an awning on the top here, but it wouldn't clear when my GE went past. So I'll get more on that later. But in the meantime, I've just been adding turnouts and adding extra spurs, and oh boy, these trains are happy. Anyway, I will let you get back to the rest of the internet. So as always, like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and I'll see you next time on Train Brain.